This is the Russian Dynamite, Masha Slamovich.
Becca here.
This is Not America's Sweetheart, Davian. And
It's Billy Starks. And
the super fly guy, Trayvon Jordan.
This is the fly side flyer, Jalen Brandon.
Hardcore Princess, Jules Malone.
Hi there, this is the Bubblegum Princess, Alexia Nicole.
This is the Brazilian Wonder Woman, Christy Jane.
This is the baddest black belt, Chennai Kai.
This is Kid Bandit.
The smash hit Joel Bateman.
This is Robin Renegade.
Cody Hawk.
Brutal Bob Evans. And you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world.
Hi, this is Zoey Cannon, and you're listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web today, the trusted choice for interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Tuesday and Wednesday on YouTube and CastBox, sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. I am, of course, your host, James J., and it's a great day for wrestling, because we are wrestling with the Friggin Delight, the Bombshell, Zoey Cannon.
Hello.
How are you, Zoey?
I'm good. How are you, James?
I'm good. Can you tell us what you got coming up next, event-wise?
Sure. So I wrestle primarily for Three Legacies Wrestling. It is the school that I started with, and we have a couple different events going on. We have the 3LW Rise, which is our student showcase type of events. That is coming up in just a few days here at Three Legacies Wrestling. And the bigger show that we have going on is one of our monthly shows. It is coming up on September 7th, and it is actually our 2-year anniversary event.
And you've been with Three Legacies, from legitimately, the start of the company.
Almost the very beginning, yes. So Three Legacies was created in August, I believe, of 2022. I had actually moved to Pennsylvania in September of 22. And then right at the beginning of October of 22, I was looking online just for something to do, something to join. And I saw that there was a wrestling event going on. And I really enjoyed wrestling. And I had tried to do a little bit of it in the past. And I looked it up and I saw the company. And it said that it was the inaugural event, which means one of the very first. So I looked more into the company. I saw that the head trainer was former WWE superstar Ricardo Rodriguez. I sent the school a message just saying who I was and asking if they had any sort of a student program. And they did, and it had just started. So I want to say the 4th student to join, but I'm the very first female.
All right, and where can we find you on social media and your merchandise?
So on Facebook, you can just look up Zoey Cannon, and I'm there. On Instagram, it is Zoey Cannon with 1_ at the very end. My Twitter or X is Real Zoey Cannon. I think that's about it. My merchandise, so I don't have a pro wrestling tees or anything set up just yet. All of my merchandise is essentially made to order. So if anyone is looking for either a t-shirt or an 8x10 or anything, feel free to send me a message. I have all the prices and everything, and I can mail it out.
Perfect. And you don't have to go looking for it. All of the links to all her social media will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and CastBox.
I love it.
Alright, let's get into it. You wrestled Notorious Mimi in the Lisa Marie Varon Invitational.
I did. That was such a mind-blowing experience. Not only to wrestle the famous Notorious Mimi, not only to do it for the Lisa Marie Cup, not only to wrestle for Bell to Bell and coinciding with Battleground, not only to wrestle the 2300 Arena in Philly, but to do all that at the same time. It was phenomenal. And even though I didn't win, I still won a little bit personally.
I think you got a lot of W's right there. But let's start with wrestling Mimi. What was that experience like? Obviously, Mimi, former WWE alumni.
Yes, so Mimi she's been with Monster Factory for quite some time. She has some amazing trainers, and it definitely shows because she has just some unrivaled talent that you really can't compete against, and you can't manipulate or transform into anything more than what it already is. She's so good and she's so talented. Every time that I see her wrestle, whether it's with me or with someone else, you're just amazed every time. I can't say enough good things about her, even though, she totally beat me up.
I think pro wrestling is the only sport where you get beat up and still have nice things to say about the person.
I agree. They don't do that in football or anything.
Yeah. And obviously, the Lisa Marie Invitational, Victoria from WWE, Tara from TNA, obviously a legend in the business. What did it mean to you to be in that tournament with her name on the front of it?
When I was picked as one of the women to do this tournament, I was truly, truly honored to be even in the same room as her, never mind even doing the invitational, but just to be in the same room as her and to get knowledge from her and to talk to her, even like whether it's as a wrestler or as a person, you're so inspired to do so many great things. So I had a chance to talk to her before I went out to do our match. And she was such a rock star. I love her to pieces. And I can't wait to see her again.
Will there be a second invitational that Zoey Cannon might be in?
I'm hoping so. We had such a great turnout for the whole Bell to Bell event for that day that I think if we were to do this again, it's only just going to grow. So I'm hoping so. And if there is one, if I'm not one of the lucky women chosen, I know that whoever is in it was clearly worth it.
Well, I mean, it was a dream match tournament, so maybe expand from there.
I'm hoping so.
And then, obviously the big thing about, this 2300 arena, the old ECW arena. Everybody knows I love my buildings. What did it mean to you to wrestle in, a historic arena like that?
It meant so much more than I can really even put into words. The first time that I had gone to that arena, I was helping out backstage for Major League Wrestling, another company that I never thought I could even get a ticket to, never mind help out with. I did not wrestle there that day. I didn't do necessarily anything out front. I was behind the scenes. I'm learning what everything is like. And that was also an amazing experience in itself. But to go back to a place that I considered a really fun place, some place that I really wanted to be home, and finally get to wrestle, and I had Missy Sampson there, it was so cool. I would love to wrestle there again. I'm just not entirely sure with whom or who against or anything, but it was so cool to do it.
Is that like everything combined, obviously a lot going on. Is that a moment you take in the moment, or is that something that kind of sets in afterwards, like, wow, I did this?
A little bit of both. On the way to the arena for the event that I wrestled Mimi in, I remember thinking, like, this is something that I didn't even know I could dream of doing, and now it's here. So then I enter the building, I see my people, I talk to everyone, I say hello, I check out the ring, everyone is just having a grand old time. And in that moment, I was like, wow, this is really cool. Finally, we all get dressed, the event's happening, all the fans are in, and I'm waiting backstage, and I hear my music hit, and I'm like, this is so cool. I finally get out. We do our match. Match went well. There was one little girl in the crowd that could not stand me, and I love it. We get backstage. I talk to whoever I have to talk to about the match. And then I just kind of sat down for a second. I was like, I just did that. That was unreal. And I didn't believe it at first. then I get ready, I go home at the end of the day, and again, as I'm driving home, I'm like, I really did that. It was so awesome. I'm just smiling thinking about it again. Like who gets to live their dreams like this over and over again?
Right. And you made new enemies and little goals.
Yes, there was a little girl who she absolutely loves Mimi, and I could not stand that. So during our match, she was yelling at me, so I had to naturally yell back at her, and it was just so much fun.
Now, you mentioned MLW. You did a couple of backstage things for them, but you also competed in the ring against a one Janai Kai.
Yes. So that was back in March, I believe, maybe February, maybe the end of February. But that was at the Melrose Ballroom in New York, and Janai Kai is no joke. She is one of the toughest, most fantastic, quickest wrestlers I've ever met in my life. She's just phenomenal. But I did enter to compete in the $5,000 chance to win if I could last 5 minutes, and I think I made it a total of 18 seconds before I got knocked out.
I believe it was 27, but...
Was it 27?
I mean...
I did not make it to 5 minutes. I was very close.
Yes. Only 4 minutes and 30 seconds remaining.
It's just a few seconds. I was very close. No, but that was a phenomenal experience too. Again, Janai Kai she was trained properly. She's just so good. I'm slightly terrified of her, and by slightly I mean very, just because she's so strong and just so quick. But phenomenal wrestler.
And shout out to Janai, friend of the show. Was that planned prior? Did you go into that event knowing that you were wrestling Janai, or was that something that just kind of happened day of? Like, okay, we're putting you in the ring with Janai.
Well, when I finally found out, it was after I had put my name into the hat of someone that wanted to compete because it was a competition. I had found out not too long beforehand, and if you watch the video back and you see my face, you could clearly see that I was way in over my head. But it was an experience of a lifetime. I don't know. It was definitely the day of. I know that. But I didn't think I'd get picked.
Okay. And you've done work with with MLW prior to that. Is that just a connection between Three Legacies and MLW?
Well, when MLW was coming around to Philly as their main area, I went to go help, see if they needed any help, and if they needed anything backstage, whatever I could, do to be helpful rather than just watching the show. So I made some connections. I did some networking. Jesus Rodriguez, or Ricardo Rodriguez, is one of the people who helps out also with Major League Wrestling, and he's the owner of Three Legacies, so it all works together. He didn't get me in, nor did he get anyone else in, but he was very much encouraging. If you want to be part of this business, go out and expand your horizons, and that's what a lot of us have done.
All right. Maybe this isn't as hard as wrestling Janai Kai, or maybe it's as equally hard. You actually wrestled in the ring.
Yes. Oh, it was a different experience. So that was for the Red Rose Rumble 2 that happened this past August 3rd. Yes, August 3rd. That was outdoors at the Clipper Magazine Stadium, or the Stormers Stadium in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. We weren't expecting it to rain that much, but it did. The rain did hold off for a good majority of our matches, and then during the actual Rumble, which I was a part of, the rain started to come down a little bit more, and then a little bit more,
Oh no.
and then a little bit more. It was a very different experience. The canvas does get a little wet, which does get a little bit slippery, but it also adds such an element of character and just ambiance to the whole experience.
Was there any, like, adjusting your style or adjusting how you wrestling? Because obviously, you know, there's a new added factor of, you know, slipping and, you know, the rain causing things to be a little bit more difficult.
Yes, there are some moves that are just not safe for anyone to do when the ring is wet. There were a couple different routes that I had to take. But overall, I'd say it was around the same. There were some amazing things that happened in the ring. Darian Hardway threw out AJ Morales over the top rope by holding him above his head, and that was really cool to watch. Anytime that anyone went over the rope, it was just so slippery. And I just kept watching everyone going, please don't get hurt.
Right. I mean, obviously the ropes are going to be the slipperiest thing there.
Oh, yes.
Speaking of slippy situations, can you tell us about your rivalry / marriage with Stan Stylez?
Yes. So Stan Stylez has proposed to me a few times with very colorful ring pops. And every time I go to give him my answer, because I look to my friends for support, and I look around and I start to wonder what is really happening in my life. And as soon as I turn to him to give him his answer, I get bamboozled with the pants. So he just starts throwing multiple pairs of pants at me. Every time. Most recently was at Voltage Wrestling out of Waynesboro, Pennsylvania. And what was supposed to be just a singles match between myself and Elena Nero, Stan Stylez interrupted and demanded that it be a three-way dance. So it got made into a three-way dance, and Elena and I kind of agreed that we did not want him in the ring. This was supposed to be our moment. And we got bamboozled, both of us, because he pulled out 2 engagement ring pops. And like women, we settled this the fine way, and we did a rock, paper, scissors, shoot. I won. I went to go again, turn to tell Stan what my answer was, and I got bamboozled.
Now, first and foremost, if your friends are supporting you, you know, getting into a marriage with Stan Stylez, you clearly need new friends. But,
that's what every audience has said so far.
But it seems on his side of things that, you know, he proposed, so you are technically legally married in his eyes, no?
In some states, I think that's a thing, where if you say yes, it's like common law or something.
And I have seen it, but I still just can't believe how many pairs of pants this man wears.
4. The limit is 4.
Really?
And the first time that it happened, like the pants are coming at me, and I said, "Oh, pants!" And then there was more and more and more. And I think even in that match, I sat up and I thought to myself as I said out loud, "What just happened?"
And then he uses the pants. It's not bad enough that he throws them at you, but he actually does use them as weapons afterwards.
Yes. And who would think that pants could be so dangerous?
Right. It's kind of like, you know, the magician when he pulls the handkerchief out of his sleeve, and then it just keeps going and going and going.
Mm-hmm. It's the same with the pants.
Yes. So, will this ever be settled between you and Stan? Will you walk down the aisle together? Will there
I
be
don't
an
know.
annulment?
If I keep getting bamboozled, probably not. But who knows? I mean, we have some serious counseling to do. And since he has the law of attraction Journey Burke on his side, I don't know. She's part of the CWO now, the Creamy World Order. So, I mean, when he has legal legislation like that, it's tough. Journey Burke already doesn't like me.
So, you're not liking your husband's new friends.
I guess it's just a thing. I got the whole Creamy World Order against me.
Alright. Now another name you've been in the ring with, Gabby Gilbert. Well known, well respected name on the independents. What was it like getting in the ring with her?
Gabby was phenomenal to work with. Very, very knowledgeable. And for someone so young and being in the business for as long as she's been in it, with all of her knowledge, all of her skills, everything that she knows just all coming together, being able to share that moment with her was also amazing. She and I had wrestled each other, I believe it was October of 23 at Three Legacies Wrestling. Our match was a lot of fun. She ended up winning in the end, even though I saw afterwards that her feet were on the rope. It was still it was toughening up a lot of what I already know, to then go on and do better. So, very knowledgeable woman. Absolutely adore her.
Alright. I think it's a good segue into Zoey's bizarre adventure. You're a pro wrestler that goes up and down the roads, and weird, crazy, and bizarre things are bound to happen. Can you tell us a road story that fits that description?
Well, I want to say it was summer of 23. Myself, Al Snook, and Just Jay, all students of Three Legacies Wrestling, were invited to compete at the Brooklyn, New York Comic-Con for their wrestling event. It was outdoors. It was extremely hot. It was extremely sunny. And the canvas was all black. The backdrop behind it was all black. It was in the direct sunlight. There was no breeze. There were no trees. It was very, very warm. But if that wasn't bad enough, the ride up and the ride back were not my finest moments. I'm from Boston, and I drive with a little bit of pizzazz, which translates to there was a one-way, and I didn't see the sign, and I went down it the wrong way. I didn't hit anyone or anything. Everything was fine. But there was a lot of screaming from my passengers. I don't drive well in New York in general. I don't know the layout, and if it's someplace that's extremely new and very fast-paced, such as New York, especially Brooklyn, there's going to be a little bit of a problem. At one point, I had to roll down the window and just yell, "I'm not from here!" There, I also hit a curb in the tunnel. Yeah. So I'm not usually the driver anymore.
Right. It sounds like it was a bizarre adventure for your passengers as well.
Yeah. I am a very good driver. I'm just not very good with anxiety and a lot of traffic in New York. So I'm fine going everywhere else. New York, I am taking public transportation.
And that is the correct answer.
Yes.
Maybe this is a bizarre adventure as well. You got to hold a raccoon.
Yes! So I absolutely love raccoons. They are the forest cats in my mind, and cats are just domesticated raccoons. So we have a student whose family member helps out with wildlife sanctuaries and rehabilitation of wildlife that may, in other terms, be in some sort of a danger, or maybe they have a parent that maybe got killed in an accident or got lost, something to those degrees. So this particular group takes care of raccoons. And I was fortunate enough, as well as some of the other students and staff at Three Legacies, to go hold a raccoon. And it was so cool. I named mine Ralph. There were 3 other raccoons. Reginald. What were the other 2? I don't remember the other 2, but I remember Ralph and Reginald. And Ralph was very feisty, and he just wanted to play. But they are very much like, whether it's like a little puppy or a kitten, or sometimes even like a regular baby, they just want to be talked to, and they just want to eat food or drink out of their bottle. And I really want one as a pet. And I found out in Pennsylvania, you can get a raccoon as an actual pet.
Really?
You can. And this is just going to open up a whole world of problems for me.
Well, I mean, I would imagine so. They do have posable thumbs.
Yes. And they can hold on to you with like a death grip, and they will not let you go.
Well, getting to hold a raccoon, are they soft? Are they briskly? What's like the texture?
They're very soft. They're not very scratchy as far as the hair or their fur. They are very soft. The ones that we got to hold, because they were still babies, and because they are still technically wild animals, they're not necessarily going to be like, excuse me, I have to go to the bathroom. So the handler wrapped them up in little blankets like they were getting swaddled and handed them to us. So I felt more of the blanket than anything.
Okay.
But I still got to hold a raccoon. Again, another bucket list thing. Wrestle at the 2300, wrestle Notorious Mimi, become friends with Missy Sampson, hold a raccoon. These are all life things that I never thought possible. And here I am.
All right. And a new addition to the family might be in the works as well.
With a raccoon? Yes.
Have you ever played Sly Cooper?
I have not.
Well, obviously the main character is a raccoon, and it's a really good game if I do say so myself.
I'm gonna have to check this out. Anything with raccoons, I just love.
Oh yeah. It's PlayStation games. Well, PlayStation 2.
Oh, I have a PlayStation 2. I hope it works.
Well,
it's been a while.
You could probably get the games for cheap for the PlayStation 2 at this point.
Probably.
Alright, can you tell us about your love of knitting?
Yes. So I have been knitting for, I want to say it's somewhere around like 24 years. My mom taught me when I was very, very young, and she was an avid knitter. Her mother was an avid knitter. My mom could be sitting on her chair, watching TV, talking on the phone, and just bust out an Irish knit sweater. Just like it was nothing. I always wanted to be like my mom. So I tried knitting, and I finally finished my first piece in 20 years. And it was a sweater. But I love it. It's one of those things that especially when I'm out wrestling and I'm out on the road and people see me, whether I'm like in the ring doing a suplex or I'm doing a promo, and everyone might think that I'm tough and whatever, and I'm just sitting there knitting. Like, I love to knit baby sweater sets and little baby bonnets.
So, it took you 20 years to make one sweater?
To finish one sweater. 20 entire years. Because I would start, and then I would mess up, so I'd take it all apart. And then I would start again, and then I'd mess up, and I'd take it all apart. Because I didn't know where the problem was. And I did that over and over and over again for 20 years. And then finally, I made a sweater, and it was red, and it had a little mail truck on it.
Okay. Have you worn the sweater?
No. A little small for me. But I made it.
Alright. Do you have your eyes on making something new that's maybe a little bit more challenging, or just now that you know how to make a sweater to advance that?
I probably won't do too much more. There's one particular pattern that I've been using for maybe the last 3 years for baby sweaters and the little bonnets that match it. And I've just been kind of manipulating that to work a little bit easier for me. So I might stick with that one for now. In my free time that I don't have, if I'm not knitting, sometimes I'm reading, but most of the time I'm just wrestling.
Right. And if you do get a raccoon as a pet, I'm sure some of those baby clothes.
It is getting all the sweaters.
Yeah.
All of them, every color.
But we can't expect Zoey Cannon to be making knitting herself breakaway pants to compete with Stan Stylez.
You never know. Maybe I'll bamboozle Stan.
All right. So maybe in the process, maybe in the works.
Yes, if you see me enter through the curtain with knitted pants, you know something amazing is going to happen.
Something else maybe amazing. You were featured in a newspaper. Everybody has websites now getting featured on websites, but I do feel like it does hit a little differently when things are in black and white.
Yes, I believe is one of the local newspapers to Three Legacies Wrestling, the Lancaster, I don't know the exact name of it, maybe Enterprise? But I was featured, I want to say twice, and the second time was a repeat of last year. And it was for wrestling, and yeah, so seeing it in black and white, but I went to the grocery store, and I was just doing some regular shopping, and I got a message through Three Legacies saying, like, hey, you're in the newspaper. And I'm like, what did I do? And they're like, no, you're for wrestling. You're in the newspaper for wrestling. And I actually went over to the little newspaper stand, and I saw it, like, with my own eyes. And I was like, oh, my God, that's me. Like, that's me. And I think, especially, yes, seeing it in black and white is a different experience, because there are still people that sit down and read the newspaper, which is something I like to do. I like to be able to hold something because ads aren't going to pop up. But for someone that wouldn't necessarily know anything about the local wrestling scene or care about it, they see it, and they see that it exists and that it's thriving and that it's just growing. It's growing so much that now it's in their newspaper. So I think it gives a little opportunity for people that wouldn't necessarily see it be able to see it.
I gotcha. Alright, now correct me if I'm wrong here, but you do have a large wrestling figure collection, no?
I have a rather large figure collection in the sense of I still play with these toys. I don't do the normal adult route now and have like things in the boxes on display. They're all out of the boxes. They're all getting played with. Someone is going through one of the 3 wrestling rings that I have at home, the little play ones.
Alright.
It's fun.
You're not going to get any objections from me. When did it start, and do you have maybe an approximation of how many you have?
It started, I want to say, back around like 2019. One came home with me, and then another one, and then another one. And I think now there's probably around maybe 100, 120. It's not something that I'm going out and searching for specifically, but if I see that one's on sale, or, you know, oh, I don't have that one, or that one's not made anymore, and you see it at any of the independent shows, I usually pick them up. And it's really cool to see the figure of someone that I've met, like in real life. It's so surreal. There was an X-Pac one, and I had met X-Pac when he came to Three Legacies last year, and being able to like kind of hold someone's figure and then look at them in real life and think, this is so cool. Like they were so big, they are so big, but they've reached a point where now they're an action figure. I want to be an action figure.
Oh, you haven't gotten a custom WWE figure of yourself yet?
No, not yet. I don't know of any places off the top of my head that make figures, but maybe when I get a little bit more acclimated to knowing how to get those, I'll probably order one.
Well, I was going to suggest, if you're a fan of Zoey Cannon, if you do know how to do that, come to Three Legacy stores and give Zoey a present.
Yes, please. I love gifts.
Now, is there a one that you like the most, or what's your favorite figure as of now?
I have duplicates that I didn't realize I had duplicates of, and it's actually a Jeff Hardy one, and he's wearing, I believe it's the purple shirt. I think it's like purple shirt, black pants. And I bought the first one, and I was like, oh, Jeff Hardy! I love Jeff Hardy! Brought it home. And I think later on, I went back to like the same Walmart, and I saw it, and I went, oh, Jeff Hardy! I love Jeff Hardy! And brought that back. And then a third time I went, wow, this looks so familiar. I love Jeff Hardy. I'm going to bring this home. And I look and I'm like, wait a second. Where did these come from? All right, because I bought it too many times because I was just so excited.
Are you buying just a bit of standard figures, the Elite, the Ultimate?
Whatever kind of suits my fancy. I don't have a real preference for any of them, only because once they come out of the box and they go into my bin, I don't remember if one's a lead or one's a specialty or one's just a basic. I just know they're there.
I gotcha. And is there anyone you're looking to get, or one that you're like, I need that's next on the list?
I want Boogeyman. So I absolutely adore Boogeyman. I had met him, and he's not going to remember it. I had met him back in 2019, I believe it was. There was a show in Rhode Island. It was a stadium show for another company, like way back when. And I had run into him, and he's always scared me as a kid because, he was the Boogeyman.
Right.
And I came around a corner, and he came around the same corner, and just seeing him, granted, he was in, like, the whole getup, and I immediately went back to being, like, 7 years old, and I screamed, and I fell to the ground. And I was like, oh, no! And he's like, are you okay? But I think his figure would just be so cool to have. Like, between the clock, maybe, I don't know if it comes with a bag of worms, but, like, I don't know. His would just be really cool to have.
All right. And I believe there are Elite, there's some WWE figures, Mattel, that are Boogeyman right now, so yeah.
I'm gonna do some shopping.
All right. Now, can you also, played the clarinet, no?
Yes, I started playing the clarinet when I was 9 years old for 4th grade band. I'm not very athletic. I never really have been. My parents said, you got to do something. So I said, why not try the clarinet? I did that, and my love for music, especially the clarinet, was fueled solely by my band teacher, Mr. Mark Kaplan. That man is such an amazing musician, amazing person. And every time that I thought I wanted to give up music, he was like, no, you don't. You really don't. And I was like, all right, I guess I don't. And I practiced as much as I could. It came naturally to me. And yeah, the rest is history.
So is like Squidward your favorite cartoon character?
Absolutely. There was a point where I was actually a cashier, a grumpy cashier, for a little restaurant, and I was playing the clarinet, and I didn't like my neighbors, and I really can't draw. So I was Squidward.
Okay.
I've lived many lives.
I feel like that's a great heel thing for somebody to do. Like you're beating down somebody and then, while I'm beating this person down, here's the clarinet and I'm gonna play it while this person is down.
See, I would play the clarinet during a match, but I don't want the audience to leave. I may have been playing for a very long time, but that doesn't mean I'm very good. And that's okay. That's where we practice.
It'll just add to the heat.
I agree.
Now, can you tell us about emotional support pickles?
Yes, I love pickles. There was a day at work when I was just, not really feeling it. I didn't want to be at work. I was just over everything. I was getting tired and burnt out. And one of my friends was like, do you want some pickles? And I'm like, yes, for emotional support. And he got me some emotional support pickles. And I love them.
Okay.
You'll find that a lot of what I do, whether it's in wrestling, in life, in corporate jobs, and everything, a lot of what I do because it makes me laugh. And if it doesn't make you laugh, that's your own problem. But I do a lot of things because it makes me laugh. Because it's funny, or at least I think it's funny. And everyone at Through Legacies will tell you, I'm the first and last person to laugh at all of my jokes, my own jokes, because I think they are that funny. They don't think they're funny. I think they're funny. But eventually, like especially when I'm at Bell to Bell, if I'm doing something that I think is funny, they usually laugh at me. So it's a win-win.
Alright, well, I mean that's a good outlook. If you're not laughing, you're not having fun, then yeah, why are we doing it?
Yeah, I'm having fun. They should be having fun.
Hell yeah. That being said, is there any meaning behind your tattoos?
Some of them, yeah. Some of them were also just poor decisions. I have a treble clef on my right bicep. That was actually for my previous band teacher, Mr. Kaplan. I don't think I ever told him that, but I mean, the man changed my life. He gave me a purpose when I was like 9 years old, and I just thought I was, a loser. Then I was a loser that played the clarinet. I have a tattoo of a mustache on my inner index finger because I was 18 and really cool and had $50. I have Madame Mim and Merlin from The Sword and the Stone on my calves, and they're facing each other because then if I click my heels together and my calves touch, it looks like they're having a wizard's duel. And it's my favorite movie. So again, I was young. I had a couple bucks and said, let's do something fun. Instead of paying for college.
The shark on your arm, is that baby shark?
That is Baby Shark. Yes, that is the Super Simple Songs Baby Shark. I didn't get the classic one that you normally see, the Pink Fong, I believe is the brand. But I like the Super Simple Songs one because he has like these big beady eyes and he's so happy looking. But usually when people see it, they're like, what's up with your fish? I'm like, it's a shark.
Right.
It's not a very scary looking shark.
Definitely not menacing.
No.
Definitely not.
And neither
gross.
am I.
Right. Alright. Now, actually, is there any plans for new ink in the future?
I would love to get some new ink. I mean, if I really could, I would love to just get like the Three Legacies logo somewhere on me. Just like, again, it was cool. It's life-changing. It's something that I'm gonna remember when I'm older. Because even, years and years later, when I'm no longer part of Three Legacies and I can't wrestle anymore, I'm gonna look at it and be like, oh, I was so cool in my 30s.
I mean, just because if you're not wrestling anymore, doesn't mean you still can't be a part of the company in some way or fashion.
That is true, yes. I'm thinking like when I'm in my 80s and someone has to feed me pudding at the home, they're going to be like, oh, Miss Cannon, what's that? And I'm going to be like, I was awesome, 50 years ago.
Hey, I mean, Fabulous Moolah and Mae Young were like in their 90s and they were still coming to WWE events and getting put
If I could do that, I think I would live probably the most fulfilling life.
Alright. Making Zoey Cannon think.
It's a dangerous game.
No, sometimes I do read into things a little too much. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. South Park fan?
I love South Park. I was watching it when I was a kid, when my parents told me I couldn't, and I said, I'm going to do it anyway. Yes, South Park is a lot of fun. I love it. It's one of those things that I don't like to really tell the kids I like. I like to view my standpoint of wrestling as I wrestle for the kids. If there's a fan in the audience between a grown adult and then a small child, the first person I'm going to go talk to is the child. Also because we're the same size. But I know that it's not like the most, child-friendly show, but I do love me some South Park.
Right, Zoey Cannon for the kids. Except that one little girl that liked Mimi a little bit more.
Yeah, she's not a fan of Zoey Cannon, and that's fine. I'm sure I'll see her again.
What is your favorite quote from South Park?
Screw you guys, I'm going home.
And what is your favorite episode or moment?
Episode or moment? Pretty much every time Kenny dies.
Okay, so
I laugh. And I know it's coming, and like I know it's gonna happen, and I know it happens over and over again, but it's just one of those things where I'm like, he died.
Especially how is he going to die this time around?
And it's always in the weirdest way.
Right. It's not how you expect it, but it does happen.
Yes.
And then there is one more South Park question, and that is the Human Centipede episode. Yes or no?
Oh, it's been so long since I've seen that one. I remember the first time that I saw it, I had to turn it off because I was like, that's disgusting. And I think I watched it again later, and again, I was like, that's disgusting.
So, no on the Human Centipede episode.
Yeah, it's going to be a general no from me.
Fair enough. Fans either go both ways with it. They either love it and it's their favorite episode, or they're like, no, I hate this.
I think the creators really know how to push the envelope to a point where it's going to be talked about. I was once told, actually by a local politician, that any PR is good PR. And any marketing is good marketing. Even bad marketing is good marketing. Because the point is to get it out there.
Right.
So I think with something like South Park, even though it might be like the grossest, most like disgusting episode, people are still going to talk about it.
Oh, yeah. They're more, weirdly enough, they're more relevant in 2024 than they were when they first started.
Yes. And I keep trying to keep up with all the new episodes, but I'm either at work or I'm at training or I'm sleeping or, you know, it's just been a few days and then I forget about it. So I have a few episodes that I haven't seen that are considered new.
Weirdly enough, they don't technically do episodes anymore. They do the specials.
Yeah, the specials.
Yeah.
It's been a little while. I do watch the repeats, and if I'm not watching South Park, I'm watching Golden Girls.
Well, thank you for being my friend. That's a great segue into the colossal question. Let's say they're making a movie about Zoey Cannon. Every movie has a soundtrack. What would be the first 3 songs on your movie soundtrack?
The Golden Girls theme song.
Okay, perfect.
Not necessarily a song, but somewhere in there, especially between scene changes, it better be the Law and Order Chung Chung. That's my text tone.
Okay.
Anything to do with wrestling, Violence Against Nature by Poppy and Bad Omens, that would be a great one.
Okay.
And then the Madam Mim theme song from The Sword and the Stone.
Alright. And we got a transition noise as well. I think this is the first time.
Yeah, the chung chung.
Yeah.
And every time that my phone goes off and it like I'm in the grocery store or I'm out shopping somewhere, it's so loud because I don't realize that my ringer's on, and then people just kind of look at me and I'm like, I'm not about to commit a heinous crime, guys. This is just a text tone.
So like that's legitimately your text tone.
Yeah,
Your
if someone
alert.
texts me, it just goes chung chung and everyone knows it's my phone.
That's awesome. Mine's I have a different text alert as well, and I think it's maybe a little bit more obnoxious than that, and it's very out of context if you don't know what it is.
Is it a lot of ducks?
No. It's butter click from One Piece.
I have not seen One Piece.
Okay, well, first and foremost, not the live action. Let's get that out of the way. But no, the way that they communicate is their phones are snails. So when the snail is ringing, it goes butter, 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 butter. And when you answer the phone, it goes click. And that's my text alert.
I'm gonna have to look this up. That sounds like fun.
Oh yeah, just snail phones, One Piece. Alright, now that we have the soundtrack down, everybody knows you get the soundtrack first, then you write the script, and then you go to casting. Who plays Zoey, and you can't say yourself because you are obligated to make a Stan Lee-esque cameo.
Mariska Hargitay. The one that plays Olivia Benson.
Okay.
In Law and Order. I would choose Betty White, but she is passed.
I mean, we do have CGI. It is a thing.
If Betty White could play me, by all means, let her.
Okay.
A woman is a goddess.
Now that we have you casted, every movie has a supporting cast. Who would be 3 people significant to you and your story that would be in your movie, and who would play them?
Oh boy. I would say the 3 people that I would choose would be Al Snook, because he was the student that came right before me, who I have worked beside the longest. And he's given me so much help and support through all of my training. I would choose... Who would I choose for him? Al Snook. The Rock. The Rock can play Al Snook.
Okay.
And then I would probably choose Ricardo Rodriguez because he has taught me everything that I know. So who could play him? I don't know. Who would you choose?
Ooh, to play Ricardo Rodriguez.
Mm-hmm.
You're putting me on the spot there. I'm trying to think. Yeah.
Danny Trejo.
There you go. Yes, 100%.
Mm-hmm. And then the third person that I would choose is actually a woman that has helped shape me into the wrestler that I am today. She was part of my debut match as one of my 2 opponents. She has wrestled me a few times, most of the time with me losing. But she has given me so much support and just things to learn. Would be Journey Burke. Journey Burke Esquire, because God forbid I don't say Esquire, she'll sue me. Playing her, Carmen Electra.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This is sounding like a really big movie, a blockbuster to say the least, and you can pre-order the tickets now.
Funding is available.
Right. All right. On to a controversial subject: pineapple on pizza. What's your stance?
Oh yeah. I like it.
So pro pineapple on pizza.
I am pro pineapple. But you can't just have just pineapple. You gotta do pineapple and ham. Or pineapple and bacon. Usually ham, though.
Okay. But what about just pineapple on its own?
Pineapple and cheese. You have to add in the meat.
I gotcha. Alright, what's your spirit Pokemon?
Snorlax. I love a good nap.
Hell yeah. We love the late great Tracy Smothers on the show. Do you know the acronym for Doug? THUG.
I don't.
T is for terrible, H is for hell, U is for ugly, and G is for Jill. 'Cause a Doug can't spell. Yes, we love the late great Tracy Smothers, trying to keep the memory alive on the show.
That's phenomenal. I love it.
Weirdest question you'll be asked on a wrestling interview, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
Would you ever consider wrestling a Rock? Not Dwayne Johnson, not the country, an actual physical Rock.
Sure. There are people that have wrestled the Invisible Man.
Yes.
There are people that I have actually seen wrestle. There are these dummies that you can fill up with either like fluff or foam or even like old clothes, and it's shaped like a person. I've seen people wrestle those. I've seen people wrestle some weird people. A Rock? Yeah, why not? There's a less likely chance of me getting hit.
Alright. Well, just for context, there's this wrestler named Psycho Mike that indeed wrestled a Rock for over 15 minutes in a Tungsten Man match. That's an Iron Man match that lasts for 2 weeks. Yes.
That I have to check out.
I can send it to you.
Yes, please.
Alright, on a more serious note, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years, I will be in my later 30s. I'm hoping to still be wrestling, especially with the growth that Three Legacies Wrestling has gotten just over the last 2 years. If we keep expanding the way that we are, we're going to have way more students. We're going to have probably some bigger names coming in. We're going to have the crazier events. I'm hoping to still be a part of this in some way. Even if I'm not wrestling, I still hope to be part of this behind the scenes. I want to be able to wrestle for Major League Wrestling at least one more time, maybe longer than, 28 seconds, 24 seconds?
27 seconds, I believe.
Yeah, maybe I'll go for 29 seconds.
There you go. Goals.
But being able to wrestle for them again would be an honor. Being able to wrestle at the 2300 would be amazing. Really, whatever comes my way is what I would want to do.
And what is a match people should go out of their way to see that best shows off what you are all about as a pro wrestler?
My favorite / best match so far, even though it was a losing battle on my end, I would have to say is Zoey Cannon versus J.S. Hawthorne at the Gift and a Curse event for Three Legacies Wrestling, and it happened on, I believe it was May 18th of 2024. And it was the main event for that event. And again, I lost, but the fight that I put up against J.S. Hawthorne was probably the biggest fight I've ever given.
Can we find this match on YouTube?
Yes. If you go to the Three Legacies Wrestling page after you subscribe, you should be able to find that event for free through, it should be at the end of the Gift and a Curse episode.
Okay, so it's the whole event.
Yeah, it's not just a freestanding match. You have to see like the whole show, but it's at the end of it.
Okay. And you don't have to go looking for it. I will get the match and I will put a link to it in the description of the video below, put on YouTube and CastBox for anybody that hasn't seen it, wants to see it, wants to re-see it after this interview. Right, and since we are nearing the conclusion of this interview, we are wrestling with the 8 questions of doom.
Oh boy.
This is our speed round or bonus round, the round where we see who you really are. Are you ready?
Oh boy, I think so.
Excluding yourself, greatest wrestler of all time.
J.S. Hawthorne.
Worst wrestler.
Me.
I will not accept that answer.
The Rock. No, not Dwayne The Rock Johnson. The physical Rock that I will probably one day be wrestling.
How dare you, sir? You're main eventing WrestleMania for the World Championship. Who is your opponent?
Rhea Ripley.
If you could come out to anyone's entrance music, past or present, who would it be?
I don't know, because I really like my song, even though it's copywritten. But if I could come out to anyone's, I really like the glorious one, Bobby Roode's.
Finish the sentence. Kayfabe is...
hard.
We would have also accepted taste great on toast. Squash. Vegetable or fruit?
A really quick match. That is a vegetable.
I will accept that answer. New Japan wrestler Taichi. His ring gear gets smaller every year, revealing more of himself to the world. My question, what is the appropriate trunks to butt cheek ratio for ring gear?
For men, I don't want to see any of your cheeks. So it should be 100% trunks.
Okay, so full coverage.
Full coverage.
Alright. And the last question, the main event, the thing everybody wants to know. Mm-hmm. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
No. Not about Darby Allin. About other wrestlers, yes. But not Darby Allin.
And that is the correct answer. And that and that will conclude this interview. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this with me.
Thank you for having me. This is the most fun I've had in a while.
Well, I appreciate that. We like to keep our guests entertained. And once again, where can we find all things Zoey Cannon on social media?
You can find me on Facebook. You can just look up my name, Zoey Cannon. On Instagram, I am Zoey Cannon with 1 underscore after the word Cannon. On X or Twitter, I am Real Zoey Cannon. And that's about it.
And people can DM you for merchandise, correct?
Yes. The best place to DM me for merchandise is through Facebook. Just because that's what I check the most.
All right. And you don't have to type it into your Google machine. All of the links to all her social media will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox. Simply click the link. A new tab will appear on whatever device you are on. You have no excuse. Buy a damn shirt. Of course, thank you for listening. If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment. But on YouTube and Castbox, this was sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. Join us next Tuesday and Wednesday for new incredible interviews, and follow the show at Wrestling with E, but on X, Dread, and Instagram. For information on who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing them, links to those interviews, and so much more. Follow me personally at JamesJ993. Alright, when I say wrestling with, you say entertainment, okay?
Sounds good.
For our very special guest Zoey Cannon, Kaliko Yacht, Scooter Dust, I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling with
Entertainment.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.